All right, my friends, hello and welcome back to the happiest place on earth, the Cozy Representative YouTube channel. I'm happy to have you back. Today we're going to be traveling back in time, 15 years ago to be exact, 2010.
Music blasting. Jennifer Sandlin. What a way to bring in 2010.
About a year ago, I made a video about the year 2009, and I made a list of kind of just an assortment of albums that I feel like really defined mainstream pop culture in that year. What prompted me to do that, one, so I could make a video like covering a bunch of different artists that I wouldn't normally get a chance to talk about in a video, but also because I was really thinking about the year 2009 and what just ridiculous craziness was going on in music that year. The charts were like LMFAO, some group doing like a Soulja Boy dance ripoff.
Call me SpongeBob, stack of Krabby Patties. Bitch, I go work.
Hey Soul Sister by Train.
Hey, soul sister, hey, that Mr.
And then Lil Jon featuring LMFAO. That was like the entire year. Ratitude by Weezer. You know, just bizarre moments in people's careers. So today we're going to be basically doing like a follow-up to that video, exploring the next year, 2010. And the crux of this video, you know, I feel like 2010, the goofiness meter had been turned down quite a bit since 2009. There's not as much just blatant ridiculousness in music. Things got a little bit more serious. Things were still lighthearted, but maybe more, I'd say, a thread, a theme through all of this music. It all feels very anthemic and big, you know? I mean, obviously it's like pop music, right? It's all anthemic to some degree. But this year I feel like just had a really specific, like DJ Khaled level of anthemic to everybody's music, if that makes sense. Another interesting thing about 2010, to me at least, is that looking back now, with 15 years having passed, because I was in 8th grade in 2010, looking back now, I feel like even though that year was obviously the first year of the 2010s, the start of a new decade, culturally, I feel like we were still very much in the same ballpark as 2009 and 2008 and 2007. Like, we weren't really in the new decade yet. I kind of feel like it didn't really start feeling like the 2010s until around 2012 or 2013, at least for me. So it's interesting looking back at 2010 now, especially considering how radically different the end of the decade was. You know, you compare 2010 to like 2019 and 2020, totally freaking different world we were living in. And I like a lot of the music that came out in 2010. I kind of liked the vibe. Looking back, it was stock, but it was fun. So without further ado, let's start this off. All right, first up on the list, Speak Now by America's #1 horse girl, Taylor Swift. And I say that with love and respect. I love horse girl music, I can't lie. I love this album, low-key. This is like my Taylor Swift right here, you know what I mean? I'm not like the world's biggest Swiftie, you know what I mean? I kind of like, with Taylor, I check in and out here and there. I see what she's up to every few years. You know what I mean? You're always kind of hearing about Taylor Swift. I don't dive into every album. I like some albums more than others, but my Taylor is definitely the OG Taylor, Fearless, here on Speak Now. I like Red too, but here on Speak Now, this is really pocket for me, for my Taylor Swift enjoyment, you know what I mean? Mine, the lead single off of this one, that was like the big one. Beautiful fucking song. I think the only Taylor Swift song I've ever genuinely actually cried to. I was 17 years old. Yeah, that song hit me. I was in Times Square in New York. I was like I was on some like vacation or something, and I was really in my feelings in like a hotel room, and yeah, had a nice cry to that song, the type of cry that I remember all these years later, and this song makes me think of that.
She's the best thing that's ever been.
But yeah, this was back when she was like pop country, you know, acoustic singer-songwriter. Her music was very lyrical on this album and also Fearless, the album which came before in 2008. Fearless was really her kind of mainstream breakthrough. It had like You Belong With Me on it, Love Story, the OG big Taylor hits, and Speak Now, 2 years later, kind of feels like more of an extension of the stuff she was doing on Fearless. It's not really its own new beginning for Taylor Swift. It's just kind of like more Taylor Swift from the Fearless era, but it was tried and true, and it was like awesome. Like, this album's really great. I genuinely, like, this album makes me feel really nice about myself.
Well, the album is called Speak Now, and it's called that, and it also has that theme running through the album because it's all based on this one song on the record that is about that moment that they used to have in weddings where they would say, "Speak now or forever hold your peace."
Yeah, and it was kind of the last Taylor Swift album of its kind, the last like OG one where she was like pop country girl, Tim McGraw, you know, because on Red in 2012, that was when she kind of started making her shift to being more of just like pop girl, you know, fucking Britney Spears, the whole thing. Speak Now. Underrated Taylor Swift album, I would say. Yeah, next up we got Teenage Dream, Katy Perry. I mean, obviously. Probably the biggest album of the whole year, I think. I didn't fact check that, but if I had to guess, I mean, this was like the first album that broke the Michael Jackson like Thriller record. Like, he had the most number ones like in a row on an album. Katy Perry was the first album to break that record that Michael Jackson set here on Teenage Dream. So absolutely massive album. It was a follow-up to her One of the Boys album, which came out 2 years earlier. I actually made a video on my channel about that album and that era, if you want to go check that out. Teenage Dream was the total next level from that album. That album, One of the Boys, was kind of more like alternative leaning. You know, she did Warped Tour. It was very like pop rock. Teenage Dream is like the full Britney Spearsification of Katy Perry. She was now like full-on worldwide pop superstar, and this album absolutely blew her up to that level. And like, this album absolutely stacked. Like, every song is pretty much a big hit except for random shit like Peacock that's on there. Like that something like that will pop out every once in a while throughout this album.
I wanna see you peacock, cock, cock, your peacock, cock.
But oh my god, E.T., oh, that's like my favorite fucking big arena Katy Perry song. You know, that song's like heavy. Yeah, Firework, California Girls, just like diamond-crested, timeless pop hits. Fucking, this album is like the top of the mountain for any artist, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, I don't think Katy Perry has really made anything this good since then, you know? I kind of like the album after this one, the one with Roar on it. That one's nice, and like that Swish Swish song was pretty cool, but since then, I don't know, Katy. But it's like, she already hit the top of the mountain, so like, you know, who cares after that? She already, like, did the thing. What, is she gonna do it again? Oh my god, yes! Okay, next on the list, we have my boys in Maroon 5, their third album, Hands All Over.
Next guests are a Grammy Award-winning band. They've sold over 15 million albums. Here's one of them right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new one. It's entitled Hands All Over. Please welcome back Maroon 5.
It's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry, but I am such a Maroon 5 fanboy. I don't care. I love Maroon 5. I actually hated them for like a really long time, and then there was a point where I don't know, I had this like epiphany. I took like ayahuasca and like went into the woods for 3 days and then came out a massive unapologetic Maroon 5 fan. Of songs about Jane, of course, but not only songs about Jane. I appreciate, like, pretty much the whole discography. Obviously, it gets real different along the way, but I don't know. I'm a fanboy. I don't care. Whatever. And Hands All Over came out in 2010. Underrated Maroon 5 album. It was their third album, and this was the last Maroon 5 album of its kind, because it was the last one that the band all wrote together and all played on, like, as a band. You know what I'm saying? After this album, Moves Like Jagger happened.
Look into my eyes, I'm on you. And moves like Jack, and moves like Jack.
So this was basically what I'm getting at is this is the last album that didn't just sound like an Adam Levine solo project. This was the last Maroon 5 album that was like kind of comparable to Songs About Jane in vibe, which Songs About Jane being the Maroon 5 album that most people would say is their only best one, which I understand, I get it. I'm not one of those people, but I understand why people say that. But yeah, so this album didn't like do as amazingly as the two albums before it. It was still like a giant album, but like Maroon 5 had really huge, high standards that they set themselves with like massive, massive singles beforehand. So this album had the song Misery.
In misery, and there ain't nobody can comfort me all day.
Which was like the lead single and probably like the most defining single from this album. I am in misery. And then they had Never Gonna Leave This Bed, which that song really feels like the 2010 vibe. That sort of just anthemic, almost like heartfelt arena vibe that I was talking about earlier. That song really embodies that. But this album being kind of a flop for Maroon 5, we have that instance literally to thank for the rest of Maroon 5's career, aka the payphones and the maps and the sugars and the girls like yous and all those types of singles and the Adam Levine solo band Maroon 5 era. The like Axe body spray, Taco Bell Cantina style pop. Yeah, they started doing that because this album didn't do as well as the other ones. And that being said, if you wanted to rewrite history and not have that happen, go back in time and I guess buy like a ton of copies of Hands All Over by Maroon 5, get Misery to #1 for like the whole year or something, and then we would have continued to have the full band Maroon 5 making more albums like that. Alright, Rihanna, Loud, continuing on with the big monster smash hit albums from 2010. Loud by Rihanna.
Want you to make me feel like I'm the only girl in the world.
Rihanna was doing an album a year at this point. She did Rated R in 2009, Loud in 2010, and then Talk That Talk in 2011, and then Unapologetic in 2012. So she was on the start of an album a year cycle, which is crazy. That's a lot of work.
You enjoy your music, you enjoy your work, you don't want to slow down.
I love making music, and I feel like as a musician there's no reason to stop unless you really want to. There's no rule that says you have to take a break between albums. You know, we're here to make music and the fans want music.
And you put it out because this is your 5th studio album, which is great because that's a lot of work though, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds crazy when you say it like that.
So Loud came out in 2010, and I actually wanted to take this opportunity to bring up an album that for some reason I didn't talk about in my 2009 video, but I'm going to mention it now. Rated R by Rihanna. Absolutely 100% my favorite Rihanna album. I have gotten really into that album in the course of the past year. That's probably why I didn't mention it in the last video. I don't think I had gotten super into it yet. But yeah, that album has been really hitting for me. It's like a great full album listen, and it's really dark and like kind of experimental for Rihanna. She was kind of similar to what Lady Gaga was doing at the time with like experimental pop and really dark theatrical stuff. I feel like as a full album, Rated R got really slept on. You know, Rude Boy was kind of the biggest song from it, and that song definitely got like on the charts. It was on the radio and stuff.
Come here, rude boy, boy, can you get it up? Come here, rude boy, boy, is you big enough? Yeah.
But I feel like in pop culture, it didn't really make as big of a splash as her previous album, Good Girl Gone Bad, which had like Umbrella on it, and that was kind of her big step up from like almost like a teen dance pop girl back on like Ponde Replay, you know, Good Girl Gone Bad was like the next step up, and that album became really like defining and iconic for her. And I feel like Rated R kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. This album was also the first thing she put out after the whole Chris Brown incident, so I feel like, you know, that maybe overshadowed this album a bit too. But overall, I feel like this is a really good album all the way through, and the greatness of Rated R as a full album, I feel like totally got slept on and is still slept on. So I don't know. I just wanted to say that. This album's great. But in 2010, she followed that up with Loud. And this album, I almost feel like, I don't know for sure, but it almost feels like a response to Rated R. Rated R was so dark and experimental, and it kind of got slept on. So Loud is kind of the opposite. It's very bright, anthemic. Again, the theme that I'm noticing in 2010, like bright and emotionally anthemic, which is totally what this album is.
And I love your new music.
Thank you so
It's really
much.
going back to like some of your pop roots, isn't it?
Definitely, as well as a lot of my West Indian roots as well. So my fans can grow with me because it always exudes the energy and the place that I'm in at that moment every time I make an album.
It definitely has, I would say, some of Rihanna's like best songs ever on this thing. S&M, Only Girl in the World. I mean, that song is like maybe the best Rihanna single to me. Maybe. I don't know. She has a lot of great singles. I take that back. I don't want to put that on record. I'd have to think about that longer. You got Man Down on here. You got Rating Men featuring Nicki Minaj. So there was like great stuff on this album. But I feel like as a whole, it's more of a collection of like singles than it feels like a cohesive album all the way through. And the next couple Rihanna albums, I kind of feel the same way about them. And I feel like that's unfortunate because Rated R coming before it was such a cool album conceptually to me all the way through. And I wish that Rihanna got to shine a little bit more. But, you know, whatever. Rihanna's great every time she makes an album. She always makes like iconic stuff, so it's not like I'm not mad about it. I just love Rated R so much. I don't know. That's all I want to say. Miley Cyrus released her album Can't Be Tamed in 2010. Which I feel like, okay, I have never listened to Can't Be Tamed album by Miley Cyrus all the way through in my life. I don't know this. I remember the song Can't Be Tamed. That was a single. I remember the music video coming on MTV, and I remember it on the radio, but this is one of those songs that like, until I look it up, it's like a Mandela effect for me, because I feel like I've never heard anybody like mention this song since then. It's like, it feels like it just got lost to time. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm not part of any sort of, you know, Miley Cyrus super fan community. Maybe amongst those communities, they're still bumping Can't Be Tamed. But I don't know. I'm looking at this album, the track list right now. It has a cover of Every Rose Has Its Thorn on it. So, you know, I'm imagining this is still the like Disney teen pop version of Miley, you know, maybe the last album of of its kind, of the young Miley before she, you know, became before the bangers era, right?
To my homegirls here with the paper, shaking it like we had a strip club. Now they growing up, I bet you regret it 'cause the shit don't taste like mine.
Yeah, this came out on Hollywood Records. I just checked. That's the Disney record label. So yeah, still Disney Miley, but this was kind of her first step into, at least from what I remember from the music video and the vibe of the song, first Miley single that was a little like, we're walking on the wild side now, you know, a little risque, you know?
I'm not here to sell ya or tell you to go to hell.
But it's like Disney dangerous, you know what I mean? She wasn't actually like, again, Bangers era hadn't started. It was more just like, she has some like bare midriff on the album cover, and she can't, you know, the song's about you can't hold her down. She can't be tamed, you know? She's crazy. She's an animal. But it's still like Disney. You know? Yeah, I don't know. Miley Cyrus, Can't Be Tamed. Is this like a hidden bangers album? Is this something I should be listening to? I don't really think so, but I definitely remember this song in 2010. What's up? It's your man, the Cozy Representative, coming to you live and direct. We got the 5 o'clock shadow coming in because we're in the editing booth finishing up this video. I had more albums on my list that I was going to talk about, but you know what? For now, I think we're just going to cut it off there. We might pick up this. We might open up this chapter again in the future. That's why this is the first installment. I got a bunch more videos I'm working on right now, so stay tuned. It will be coming. Thank you guys for the continued support and always showing up. I appreciate it. If you want to support this channel further, you can, as always, go to the Patreon link in the description, patreon.com/thecozyrepresentative. Also, I am on TikTok now. I'm not really doing too much on there, but one thing I have been doing is posting clips of upcoming videos before they drop. For example, this video that you're watching right now, there were a couple clips of that posted before it went up. So if you want some like new stuff before it's on here, you can check that out. I am just the Cozy Rep on TikTok, and there will be a link to that too in the description. Anyways, thank you guys as always for watching. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll catch you next time right here on the Cozy Representative YouTube channel, sooner rather than later. Peace out.